Before we begin, I'm happy to announce the release of my newest book, Conscious Conduit, A Dowser's Guide to the Business of Ascension. This book is a new addition to my first book released in 2018. In this revised and expanded edition, I go into more detail about how you can use dowsing to expand your own consciousness, improve your life, and how to turn your dowsing hobby into a thriving business. The book is available in print or ebook form and retails for only $9.99. I'll be bringing copies with me whenever I make personal appearances, but you can get your own copy today at Amazon.com. And now for today's podcast. Welcome to High Vibes with your host, Bill G. At High Vibes, we're looking into what it means to be a fourth dimensional being in an ever-changing world. We hope that by listening to our podcast, you can feel a greater sense of peace and connection as we collectively raise our energetic vibration to the next level. And now for today's podcast. Hello and welcome to High Vibes. I'm your host, Bill G, and today's special guest is Linda Armstrong. Linda has a unique style in her work, combining energy healing with coaching while tapping into her intuitive nature and spiritual guidance to help her clients live an inspired and high vibrational life. She works with you to release all that keeps you pulling you off course, stopping you from moving forward. The fear, the doubt, the worry, the subconscious beliefs, the thoughts, patterns, programs, releasing energetic and emotional ties, the past traumas and negative experiences, and much, much more. Through her work, she helps people to bring more love and more light into their life. She works with the GATE method of healing and theta healing technique. She's also a master certified law of attraction energy coach, Reiki master teacher, and light body meditation practitioner. So Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Linda, so you've been doing this for about 11 years, you said right before the show, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a question I usually ask everybody that I invite on the show. What's your story? What got you from wherever you were before to doing this kind of work?
All right. I'll try to keep it short because I can get long-winded in my explanations. I have a karate school, me and my husband, and I woke up one day out of the blue, could not lift my left arm. Turned out I had a rotator cuff tear. And I was living with that for a while, teaching karate with one hand in a sling so that I wouldn't use it because it would hurt too much, right? And so I lived with that for a bit. And to shorten it all up is that brought me to healing. This tear I didn't expect to be a healer. It wasn't on my radar, nothing like that. But I had this pain. It wasn't going away. I did always believe in the power of us. You know, I've been following Abraham for years before this ever happened to me. And so I went through a couple of months. I decided, oh, what the heck, I'm just going to have this surgery, get rid of this because I have to use my arm. This is ridiculous. And that was right around Christmas time. And I was going to go and have the surgery in like January. My insurance was changing over from a different carrier. So I called this doctor, said, I'll be there in January. We're going to schedule this thing and just get it over with. But prior to that, I was at a Christmas party with all the karate friends. A bunch of them were talking about their rotator cuff tears, the surgeries they had, and the misery they went through, right? So I'm listening to all of this and I'm like, oh my God. And then somehow I intuited, something came to me that said, you can heal yourself. So I'm like, I couldn't even listen to anybody anymore. I'm in my head. I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? I could heal myself. And then I got like confirmation from a few people in the energy world or, law of attraction world to see what they thought about that self-healing thing. And they're like, absolutely. I'm like, okay, that's it. Now, the other part of this is I happen to be accidental. Everything's seems like an accident, right? It was all planned. I happened to be accidentally invited into this light body meditation course that I was a student in Christy Whitman's Law of Attraction Coaching Academy. So I was only months into the thing when I got the invitation, which only goes out to graduates, but somehow I got it. It's a year-long program. And I just didn't know what it was. I just had to sign up for it. So I signed up for this thing. Well, it turns out January comes. We were on a little bit of a break from this meditation course. And we come back in January. That module for the next 3 months was all about self-healing. So there was this meditation we did about self-healing, which basically all it was is taking, I mean, there's a whole big thing to it, but basically you're taking that energy of love and you're putting it into the injury. So I probably did that meditation like maybe every day for possibly a month, month and a half, 2 months. I don't even remember. Totally healed, no surgery, full range from my arm, never had a problem again. I'm like, it just roller coastered. Then I get this email from another teacher in that academy teaching a Reiki course. I didn't even know what Reiki was. And I'm like, I got to do this. What is this? And I sign up for it. And then I start feeling this energy coming in my hands. I didn't realize what that was either. So I email her and I'm like, what the heck is, I don't know what this is, but I feel this like bubbling of energy in my hand. She goes, the Reiki's already coming through. We didn't even started the course. You're going to love it. I'm like, okay. And then from there, one modality after the other, they all came to me accidentally on purpose. Right. So that was the journey. Like I didn't plan it. It just kept, that's like spirit leads the way, right? Things just kept coming into me that somehow part of me knew, okay, you better do this. This is for you. This is for you. This is for you. So that's how it came about.
What got you into karate?
The truth, me and a friend of mine, we were 26. We were like, we wanted to get into good shape. We're like, well, either going to do dance or we're going to do karate. And so we called up a few karate schools. As one, we liked the way they spoke to us. And so we just started doing it. Now, when I signed up, this is another story. When I signed up, this one instructor wasn't there. He was in California with his family, right? That's my husband. He comes back and we hit it off like immediately. So somehow I wind up at this karate school, and I'll tell you a little bit more, because it's all about energy, right? And how things come to you in the world. So I meet this guy. We wound up dating, 6 months later, I moved to California with him. Not even a year later, we're married. It just kept going like that. And so I'm in this karate world now because he was my instructor. He's been doing karate since he's 12. He was born, get this, he was born in Africa, in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. So when I take him home to meet my family, my sister says to me, oh no, let me tell you this part first. I always told how you put things out there and boomerang, law of attraction comes back, right?
Right.
So I used to say, because I had no resistance to this, I made up this thing in my mind when I was younger. Like, you know what? The guy I'm going to marry is walking the planet somewhere. Well, obviously, right?
Right.
So he's walking the planet somewhere. He could be like right next door, or he could be on the other side of the world. That's what I would say. So my sister's, I bring over, my sister's like, isn't that the guy who walks that German Shepherd past our house like every day? And I'm like, holy shit, he is. And I'm like, oh my God, I used to drive past him in between boyfriends and say, he seems like a nice guy. I could start up a conversation with him. I never did. So here's this guy who grew up on the other side of the world, who I also passed by many times. Both parts of that statement were totally true. And that's the guy I'm still married to. So,
wow.
Yeah. Why did I get onto that? What did you ask me?
We were talking about the karate.
Oh yeah, that's karate. Yeah, and of course that's an energy thing too. Like it was just all part, not knowing the plan. Because we have a soul plan, right?
Right.
Come here, and then these are just parts that I'm aware of now. Totally supposed to be.
Right. Right. Yeah. I used to do karate myself. I used to do Taekwondo, and now I don't do Taekwondo anymore, but I do some mixed martial arts as for fitness, part of my fitness program.
Yeah,
doing some mixed martial arts, which is still a lot of fun. It's great for the core. It's great for building up your stamina and self-confidence. It's wonderful for self-confidence too.
I mean, it's a way of life, really.
Yeah. You still have a school in where you live right now, right?
Well, my school is in Tenafly, New Jersey, so it's about 25 minutes from me.
So you're a karate instructor, but your primary work is your healing practice. So you got into all of these different healing practices. So why don't you describe to me what a typical client is, or a typical approach you have to a client who's coming to you? Like what kind of problems do clients come to you with?
Well, they come to me with all sorts of things. It's not, which was like really weird because I could never really niche down as to who I help and what I do, and they want you to make this avatar and find your whole formula and all that. Like, I don't know if I could do that. Basically, they're people who are awakening, spiritually awakening to their own truth, and they're being blocked by things along the path that they've come to this awareness that can be cleared through an energy healing, right? So the people who come to me already kind of know what this is like. Actually, that's not true, because some people have no clue. Like, I had this one woman who's a mom at the karate school, and she was going through a lot of trouble, and I would just say things. I didn't like tell her what I did or not, because I didn't know she was open to it or anything, but I would just give her little tips and advice. She's like, you always know what to say. I'm like, well, I do energy healing. And she's like, oh, I don't believe in that stuff. Right. But she's like, I think I have to try it. I'm like, all right, well, just do it. She goes, yeah, but this stuff, all my friends are like, you're crazy. You think you're going to do that? You're not, you don't do that kind of stuff. But somehow she had to come. I give her a session. She's blown away. I've been working with her for a while. Just helped her she was going through a really bad divorce, custody kind of thing. She needed to move to Florida. She's in New Jersey. Couldn't get there because of the things that were going on with the husband, going through all kinds of stress and she was wearing the energy of how it will never be solved. I'm stuck. He's controlling my life.
Right.
So what I did is help her to see how she has the power to change her life. And if she just focuses on what she wants, and we just clear all the junk, because in a session, things will just come to me of experience that needs to be cleared, because she's holding that energy still. And that's why it keeps manifesting in front of her. So now she moved to Florida. She's working a new job. She's really excited. She's meeting new people. Her son is loving it out there. Comes here to visit the dad. It's okay. It's all worked out. So that's like an example of someone who had no clue, but most of the people are already aware of this thing called energy. They know that they need some kind of a help because they can feel it. It's there, but they don't know how to get rid of it. And it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be any area of life where someone's stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it manifests in interesting ways as well. I would actually describe my own practice almost exactly in the same terms, that I'm not really particularly niched to a specific client type. People ask me, who is my ideal client? And I always say that someone who is seeking, or someone who is aware that there is something more to life than these constructs and these images that we hold on to, or the things that we believe in. And so what I do through my Akashic dowsing is I kind of show them that darker mirror of what it is that they are facing. So that way it comes into conscious awareness. So that way we can actually start to deal with it. And it sounds like you do similar work with what you do. So obviously I use the pendulum and the charts to do this. How do you come up with that dark mirror? Through Reiki or through law of attraction or whatever? What is your go-to when somebody says to you, hey, I got something going on with me that I know there's something there, but I can't put my finger on it?
It's always evolving. And what it has evolved to now is I pretty much just channel what needs to come through. And so based on what's coming through, I just know what modality to tap into. Sometimes it's a blend of every session is a blend of everything for me. So it's like whatever comes up, it's like the thing that's going to clear is the thing that I'm going to do, the technique or whatever. But it's become such a more now. It's almost like I'm just channeling it, but tapping into these tools and blending it together. It wasn't like that in the beginning. I would be by the book. I would either do this method, if I'm doing theta healing, I'm testing for limiting beliefs and then clearing them, downloading with them new ways of being. Like, that's theta healing. Or the gate is where you're clearing lots of vows, oaths, decision, energetic, mental, emotional ties, that kind of stuff, patterns and programs that you're just carrying around with you that you picked up along the way. that's time to let go because it's no longer serving you. So, Reiki's always there. I mean, I'm sure you know it. The energy is there for you when you're working with it. So it's a blend.
Yeah, I'm a Reiki master healer, whatever, from back in the 90s. I got my certification there. So I do the same thing with my work too. Again, with the Akashic dowsing, I use several different protocols, and
Mm-hmm.
several of them I've invented myself. Others I borrow heavily, like the spiritual response therapy protocols that I that was my go-to for a while, but now I'm using kind of a blend. And how do I know which one to go to? I let my pendulum pick.
The pendulum's just the extension of
It's
the
just
channel.
the extension. Yes. I mean, you using your intuition. I'm using my pendulum. My
Mhm.
pendulum is the one that's going to choose the protocol. And then when I'm done with that particular protocol, if there's more to learn, then it'll go to another protocol, and then it'll use a different protocol. And in the end, we end up with an amalgamation of what it is that's going on with the person that is extremely unique to that individual. And generally, it's incredibly spot on, to the point where they're like, how did you know all that about me? And I'm like, I didn't know anything about you before you walked in the door. I,
Well,
because
you didn't in your mind know anything, but I'm
right,
sure you're consciously picking up on it through your tools there. So
exactly. And again, they're all tools. And I loved what you said about the tool being just a tool, and you're blending them and kind of whatever, because a lot of these protocols will say, okay, if you're going to do theta healing, you got to do theta healing. If you're going to do Reiki, you got to do Reiki.
oh, I know.
You got to keep them, you got to kind of do the a la carte type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's just another image. That's just another construct that we're throwing into. Yeah, okay, someone came up with a protocol. That's great.
Yeah.
And I've got certified in that protocol. That's great. But if my high self is guiding me to do a little bit of this protocol and a little bit of that protocol in order to create a unique experience for my clients, and that way they can get what they need,
Yeah.
we're
You
right
know
on.
what? You know what's so funny, and how there is no such thing as coincidence is that before I got on with you, I was shooting a couple of videos for my YouTube channel. I'm doing these shorts videos. It's a minute or less. It's hard to put a lot of what we do into a minute, right? And get a point across, especially for me, because I can be long-winded. You saw how long it took me to tell you the short version of my story. Anyway, I put out this video today, and it had to do with this message that I received. It was probably before I started doing all my blending and allowing myself to be who I am and how it wants to come to me. The message I received was, there's no right way, find your own way and keep it simple, right? That's it. Keep it simple, because everybody's a healer. And that's another video I did. Are you a healer? Everyone's a healer. It's just how much of it you're aware of and that you're driven to let out. But everyone's a healer. I feel like anybody can do what I do. Anybody can tap into this information and receive this energy and just send it out. I send energy out everywhere to the world every day. It's not hard. And you don't have to. Has anyone ever asked you to see all your certifications? No one's ever asked me to see my certifications.
No, no one's ever
Never.
asked me for my certifications.
Never. So I'm not putting it down getting certified, because getting certified in those courses gave me a base that I can draw upon.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But I can't say I do anything by the book.
Well, that's something else I say about, healers in general. When sometimes people ask me, how do I know what healer I should go to or whatever? And I said, well, first of all, something you have to be aware of, that all healers are frauds. We don't heal anybody. You are the one who does the healing. All we do is facilitate.
Yeah.
So healers who believe that, oh, I have trade secrets, I can't give away my method or
Yeah.
whatever, they're just
Smart.
buying
That's
into the paradigm.
yeah.
They're buying into the lie that they are the ones doing the healing. That's
Well,
because that's not
and
true at all.
again, it's ego. It's
Exactly.
ego. Yeah.
And there's
Because I'm just a channel. That's why I look at it. I'm just a channel. It's coming through, and you can either receive it or not, because it's that person who you're working with. it's their responsibility. They have free will to decide if they want to. Like, I can't do anything for them that they don't want to do for themselves. And there might be a time where I say, I think, I'm getting that we need to clear this so and so. And they might say no. And that's okay.
Yeah. And also that there's this illusion about competition, that if you give away your secrets, then you give away your methods or whatever, then people will steal your method and then they'll take away your clients. And that's not true either, because the people who are drawn to you are the people who are drawn to you. And it's not like there's this finite number of clients out there, because everybody needs this kind of work. Everybody needs to have help and guidance along the way. And if people connect with you, that's great. I'm more than happy to refer people to you as a healer, and if that's a good fit for them.
Right.
Because someone coming to me just because someone said, hey, Bill's the bomb and he's gonna really help you out with your stuff, if we don't make a connection,
yeah,
then no healing is taking place. Whereas you go with somebody else who maybe hasn't been in the business as long as I have, or somebody who doesn't have as much experience, but hey, you've made a connection and you are doing some real deep healing with that person, all the more power to you. That's great. And that's another one of the reasons why I love bringing people onto the show who are doing other healing modalities, different from mine. Because again, or even people who do exactly the same thing or a different version of what I do, it doesn't matter. We are all in this business to help people with their self-healing.
yeah. Well, that thing you said about competition, for me, I look at that as like a closed heart or an open heart, right? Because by not wanting to give this away or that away, you're really closing yourself in, and you're not allowing for that expansion to come in more, because you decided this is the way it is. This is mine. I got to hold on to this, right? I give it away. I mean, the people I work with, I teach them pretty much. I tell them, I empower them to know that they can do what I'm doing for them.
Right.
It's hard to do your own stuff though. So, that's not always easy. I'll have to go to someone when I'm like, all right, I've done every clearing I could think of for this, but I'm not getting to it.
Right.
Yeah. But I like to teach people how to do things for themselves. Give them tools. You just declare this, say this, release it. Because you can. You're the one doing it right now while I'm talking to you.
Right.
So you can do that for yourself.
It's part of building a healing community. It's always good to have other people within your healing community.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to go out and be healers, but they're going to help themselves when they need it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or maybe they're going to go out and be healers. Maybe it inspires them to want to take a couple of courses, find out more, explore this, explore that. Yeah.
Yeah. I teach people all the time about the different protocols. Whenever I develop a new protocol, the next thing I'm thinking of, okay, how can I teach this to people? And then I put together workshops, through my website and whatever, so people can learn how to do that particular protocol. And then, it's funny. I just taught a workshop last week, and we were doing a past life connections workshop. And somebody in the class said, okay, when do we use this protocol? And I'm like, whenever you're guided to it. I mean, I'm not guided to this protocol every time I sit down with a client.
Right.
If I'm guided to this protocol, then we use the protocol. If I'm not guided to this protocol, I'll use something else.
Right.
But I'm teaching it to you so that way you can have that tool too. You can have that tool in your tool belt. Do you teach workshops with what you do, or?
I mean, I probably could, but I don't know. So far I haven't been drawn to it. I mean, I've had readings from other people who tell me I'm going to be teaching this, or I'm going to develop this. I'm like, all right, I don't see it yet. I'm open to it. When it wants to, just like how I told you, things just happen along and I just follow wherever it is that I'm led. I wanted to ask you before, because you said you make up these protocols.
Yeah.
So would you say it's a mental thing, or more you're just getting the download?
It's a little bit of both. It starts off as a download or an idea. Usually it comes when my wife and I are doing the protocols with ourselves. We're practicing on each other, and we hit a block where, okay, we're not going deep enough with this particular protocol. It's not getting to the heart of what we actually want to do. So we need another protocol to supplement what we're doing here in order to get to this next step. And we were guided to say that where we get this little, flashy lights and whatever, that this is something we need to do. And so we talk about it and we come up with some preliminary idea of what it's going to be about and how it works based on our own research. And then we'll come up with a protocol, and then I'll test it out, and it usually works pretty well. And then we'll go back and find all the supporting research that goes along with it. And we usually find a mountain of research that says exactly why that protocol works.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest thing in the world, because like with our time temple charts, we recently did an episode on this channel about the invisible light spectrum, because it primarily works with the visible light spectrum, but we added recently the invisible light spectrum because it just made sense. And then we're like, oh, this is biogeometry. This is, there's real research that supports this. This is Higgs boson. This is law of attraction. There's so much research already out there supporting that why this works when it started out as an initial channel, which I thought was really cool.
Right. Because the information's out there. Now you're just receiving that part. And guess what? You're getting it because you're able to find all that supplemental information that really will help someone to try to understand it when they don't really even need to understand it, but sometimes that mind makes you want to understand.
Oh, absolutely. And when I'm giving presentations to the American Society of Dowsers, that audience tends to be more scientific based, so they want to know the research behind it. They want to know what the science behind it is, and I'm more than happy to share that because it exists. It's not like I'm just pulling this out of my butt and saying, hey, this is something that Archangel Michael gave to me, and isn't this awesome? It's like, no, it's more than that. Yes, it was originally channeled, but there's some real meat behind this and some real research behind this. And so that's the approach that, we come with the channel, and then we come with the research to back it up. So before we go, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you?
Sure. You can go to my website, lovemylife.coach. Any information you need is there. There's a page for coaching, and there's an application you can fill out right there, or you can just email me. I respond right away, hopefully, or pretty close to right away. You can go to my YouTube channel, Linda Armstrong, Living High Vibe. And basically those two places is where I send people, even though I've got things scattered out and about all over, but that's really what I focus on more.
It was such a wonderful opportunity talking to you, and I wish you all the best. And I hope to see you again at a future event, or because you don't live that far away from me, so that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks so much.
And thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for listening. For more information about Bill and Nina G, please go to www.vitalbioenergetics.com. See you next time.